Welcome to this Learn SPSS in 15 minutes. The goal of this video is to get you up and running with SPSS and using it for your analysis in just under 15 minutes. In this video, I will take you through defining variables, entering data, and analyzing data using descriptive statistics for frequencies, cross-tabulations, and other analysis. Let's get started right away. I've opened SPSS, and as you can see, the interface is very similar to that of Microsoft Excel. So if you are familiar with Microsoft Excel, that is an advantage. The spreadsheet is divided into two: the data view, which is where you see your actual data, and the variable view. This is where you define or edit the questions you've asked with your surveys, questionnaire, or whatsoever means with which you got your data. The first thing to do once you've opened SPSS is to bring data in, and I will show you how to create variables and enter the data. I have a small questionnaire that I will be using. In SPSS, a variable is simply a column of data, e.g. age, gender, income, or whatsoever heading you have in your questionnaire. The first variable name is employee ID. The rule of variable name is you need to ensure no spaces is included in the name, no symbols, or any special character. You can either space your variable name with an underscore, or you rather not put anything between the words. So I'll leave mine with an underscore. The next one we have here is the type of variable. It's about the format in which the variable is going to come in. To view the variable types, click on these three dots and you can see all the variable types that are present in SPSS. Variable type tells SPSS what kind of data you are entering, how it should be analyzed, and what statistical texts are appropriate. Now we have the numeric variable type. You use this if your data contains number and can be used for calculations. It can also represent categories. This you would understand moving on in this tutorial. The next one, which is the comma. You use comma if you have numeric values with commas for thousands. For example, if you have 10,000 or 250,000, it is the same as numeric but formatted differently. A comma is a numeric value with commas for thousands, while a numeric variable type just contains numbers. The next one, which is the dot. You use dots if you have numbers where dots separate thousands, just the same way that comma separates thousands in comma, in dots separates the thousands, as you can see the examples on the screen. So you use the scientific notation to display very large or very small numbers. For example, just as you can see on the screen. So this is scientifically used for data. As you can see, different date formats here. So you use the date variable type if your data is stored as a date or as time. You can see different formats that are present here in these options. The next variable type is the dollar. Dollar is used when you have numeric values formatted as currency. Example, if your income is formatted in dollar, this is where you use the dollar variable type, and you can see them as they are rightly explained here. The next one, which is the custom currency. This enables you to define your own currency format. You can format the symbol, the decimals, just as you can see here. You can format it just as it pleases you. String stores text, and text includes letters, words, or symbols. It cannot be used directly for calculations, hence the need to recode string into numbers by using your categories, which you would also see moving forward in this tutorial. And string is defined by a maximum length. So if the number of your character here is 8, that means that the number of characters that can be present in your string column cannot be more than 8. You might want to increase that moving forward. The last one, which is restricted numeric, is numeric just as here, but the difference is that it is with a restricted input format, just as you can see it be rightly stated here. For employee ID, it is going to be numeric, so click on numeric and press your OK. The width shows the maximum number of characters to be allowed for each response. So it's talking about the length of the variable that is allowed. So we want to leave this as 8 is good enough. Next one which we have here, which is the decimal. Decimal is the number of decimal places for numerical variables. So for employee ID, I'm going to reduce this to 0 as my employee IDs have no decimal number. The next one, which is the label. Label shows how the name of the variable should appear when you are doing the analysis, of which I'm going to say employee with a space and then ID. So label allows you to add space, add symbols, add any special character unlike the name. So the next one we have is value. Values are the list of responses that are allowed for that question. This is mostly for questions with multiple choices, options, which the employee ID is not going to be a multiple choice, so we will not be using the value option. Next one is missing. Missing is basically values used to refer to responses that are applicable to the question or not answered. If you have a particular variable in which there is no response or the response given is not applicable to that specific question, here you indicate the missing value. The next one is the column. Columns is basically how wide the column of the data is going to be when you go to the variable view. The next one is the alignment. Alignment is used to determine whether the data should be on the left, right, or center. The next feature we have here is the measure. This is the measurement level. Measurement level is the type of variable you are dealing with as regards to how you're measuring it. Let me break it down for you. Scale variable here. Scale variables are quantity. They are numeric variables that measures quantity like age, income, weight, distance. Think of anything that measures quantity. There you use your scale measure. The next one, which is the ordinal variable. Ordinal variables are variables that are represented by words, but they have a clear ranking order. However, the distance between values is not equal. For example, somebody who has a low status has a much lower status than someone with a middle status, and also someone who has a middle status is much lower in socioeconomic status to someone with a high status. So do you understand? So ordinal variables are variables that are represented by words, but they have a clear ranking order. So now that will take me to the nominal variable. Nominal variables are qualitative variables whose values do not represent any ranking. This means categories have names or labels only. The numbers assigned to the variables do not mean quantity. When you hear of nominal variable, you want to think of gender. Gender has options as male or female. If a particular respondent should select male, we can't say that male is more of a gender than female. Do you understand? So nominal is when you are assigning numbers, you are using number to assign a particular variable. Let's say you have categories like religion. You can't say that Christianity is more of a religion than Islam or any other religion because a particular respondent selects it. While in ordinal, if someone should select a particular response, that means the person is saying a much higher response than the other person. The next variable is the name of the employee. Here, the name is string, and also if you want to label it, you can label it name of the employee. You do not have any values, you can leave it as nominal. The next variable is gender. For gender, we are using numeric value, and you may be wondering why. So this is like creating a list of responses that people can select from. There is no decimal place, so you put this as 0. Label would be gender. Then here under the value, you click on the 3 dots. 1 is female. You click on add. The value 2 represents male. Then you click on add. Once this is done, you press your OK. This is going to be nominal as you are assigning numbers to each of the category. So the next variable we have is the age. Age is numeric, and we are not going to add values to age because it is open-ended. The decimal is 0, of course. The level of measurement, since age has a unit of measurement in years, hence it is a scale. How long have you worked in this organization? And to make the name easy to read, I will just say yes in organization. Remember, you can separate it with an underscore or just put it together without spaces. The type is going to be numeric because the responses are in ranges and you will assign values to them. Here, decimal is 0, and this is where you define your exact variable name. Yes. So next, you define the values. Value 1 represents less than 2 years. You can also press your enter to add, and you can also press tab to move from value to labels. Value 2 represents 3 to 5 years. You press your enter. Value 3 is assigned to 5 to 10 years. And the last value, which is 4, represents greater than 10 years. Click on enter and press your OK. Yes, now this is ordinal, as people who have spent less than 2 years in the company are different than people who have spent 3 to 5 years in the company. So also the same way that people who have spent 5 to 10 years in the company are different than people who have spent greater than 10 years in the company. So you want to click on your ordinal. The next variable we have is the marital status. Of course, this is numeric also, and this does not have any decimal value. You want to write marital status of employee. Then the next one here, we have values that represent the marital status. 1 represents single, 2 represents married, 3 represents divorced. Once this is done, click on your OK. And we have no missing value. The next one here, it is nominal. A married employee is not greater than a single employee. Next on we have is the education level of the employee. This is also numeric, as we want to be able to analyze these values. 0 decimal, education level of employee. Also here, we are going to identify the values since this is a categorical data, just like the marital status. This is an ordinal because an employee with a master's degree has a higher education level than an employee with university degree. Next variable we have is income of the employee. Indicate this as currency. If the income is in dollar, you can include dollar, but if it is in another currency that is not dollar, you can customize the currency using the custom currency. But right now we are sticking with dollar because these employees receive payment in dollar. Hence you press your OK. You can leave the decimal as 2. Income of employee. We are not indicating the values here since this is a continuous data. And yes, this is a scale. The next step is to enter the data. And to do this, come into the data view. To enter data is actually very straightforward. Just like you enter your data in Excel. Go ahead and click on this button here that says value labels. This allows us to see if the variable has values. So if we type 1 for gender, it will show us as male and not 1. So click on it. Go ahead and start entering your data. You see, this is giving me an error. Why? Because the characters indicated is not to be greater than 8. So under the variable view, you want to ensure the width is as much as possible. So let's just put this as 30 just to be on a safe side. Use tab to move between this. So once you notice that this is still showing you as 1, you remember what I said, you click on the value labels and you can see that this has changed to female and not as the value. So you can see what I'm doing. If you know the numbers offhand, you just click on the number of the specific value and you have it, or you click on the drop down and you select it. We have all the data in. The next step is to analyze the data. To analyze the data, go to the Analyze feature, and under the Descriptive Statistics option, you will see different analyses that can be carried out. The first one, which is the frequencies. Click on it. Frequencies shows you how many of these values you have, and it is mainly used for categorical data. So you use it for gender. Now we are going to move every of the categorical data into the variable space. There are two ways to move data in this sense. Firstly, click on the data you want to move, and since I'm selecting more than just one data, you can select one variable, hold down your Ctrl key and select the other categorical variable. Once you've selected that, you can either click on this icon here or drag it into the space. Before you press your OK, you want to check the statistics to be sure of the results you will be getting. If you want to show the mean, you can click on that. I am not showing any of that in this. You can select the standard deviation, the minimum and maximum. These depend entirely on what you desire your result to be. Press continue. Chart, this is if you want to visualize. You can either select a bar chart or a pie chart, but preferably for categorical data, you make use of a bar chart. Then it should be in frequencies. That is the most preferable to be able to enhance your interpretation. Once you've done that, press your continue. If you want any formatting, you can also select it here. If the format of your research is to be in an APA style, ensure to select Create APA Styles table. Also, you want to select Display Frequency Tables. Once you've done that, press your OK. Here we have results of our frequencies. Under gender, you can see, just like I explained earlier, that frequency shows you how many of a value is present in the data. Here you can see that we have 10 male and 10 female, 50%. It also shows us the overall percentages. The next variable here, which is how long have you worked in this organization, you can see the different percentages by categories. 25% of the employees have worked in the company for less than 2 years. 30% have worked in the company between 3 to 5 years, 20% have worked in the company between 5 to 10 years, and 25% have worked in the company for more than 10 years. Yes, the next variable we'll be interpreting is the marital status of the employee. 35% of the employee are single, 60% are married, while 5% are divorced. So we can see that a large percentage of the employee are married. The next variable is the education level of employee. 30% of the employee have a university degree education level, 35% have master's education level, while also 35% have doctorate education level. Also, before I proceed, I would love you to know that the best percentage to use in your interpretation is the valid percentage. Here you can see the visuals of the charts created the other time, which is the bar chart. This shows us that we have equal number of gender of employees. Here you can also see the visual representation of the results. Next one is to analyze the continuous data. If you want to get this output in another format like Word document, this is how to go about it. There are two ways. It's either you export or you copy and paste. To export, select every of the table or chart you want to be represented in the Word document. You can either click on them one by one by holding down your Shift button, or you select the first table here, hold down your Shift button, go down to the last table or figure you want to be in your Word document, hold down your Shift button and click on it. Then right click. You can see different options, but right now the first step I want to show you is to export. Click on the export. Here you can select where the Word document should be saved and the name it should be here. Let's say employee analysis result. Then once you've done this, you save. Then once you've done that, you want to press OK. Now go under where you saved it and open it up to cross check. Here you can see your results in Word document. The second option is to right click and copy and come under your Word document and paste the result. Paste it to keep the source formatting. If you paste it at keep text only, this is going to disrupt every of your tables. So ensure to always paste at keep source formatting. Yes, just the same way every of your results are being pasted in Word document. Also, before we proceed from here, if you want to edit your chart or your table, this is how to go about it. Right click on it, select edit. Here you can either increase the size or reduce the size of your chart, anyone you want to do. If you want to change the element type, you want to change it from a bar to a part or to marker, you can indicate that here. Once you've done this, also this is where you come to, if you want to format the title of the table, this is where you come to. There are different options that are available to you here. Different options. If you want to remove the grid lines, this is where you come to. Same way with the tables, you can do any formatting if you want to remove or add. The next step is to analyze the continuous data. Click on the analyze. For this, you can either use descriptives or stick with frequencies. I will show you how to use both and still achieve the same result. If you want to use frequencies for your continuous data, there is a trick to it. Now click on reset and select your continuous data. Here, this is the trick. Ensure to unselect the display frequency tables, and here under the statistics, indicate every descriptive value you want to show. You proceed. For continuous data, the chart will be using is histogram, and you also want to show the normal curve on histogram. Then you click on continue. Once this is done, press your OK. Now you can see the results. The mean age we have here is 31.5. The median is 30.5. The standard deviation is 5.472, which is showing us that there is minimal variation in the age of the employee. The minimum age is 21 and the maximum age is 41. The same comes for the income of employee. The standard deviation is 34242. This shows that there is high variation in the income of the employees. The minimum income is $100 while the maximum income is $1,010. Also, you can see that the ages are grouped here. Yes, if you want to make that changes too, you do that in the edit like I showed you earlier. Normal curve here. This shows us that most of the employees are between the age of 30 and 35. I'm sure you learned a lot in this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on your notification button for upcoming videos.